I don't know how this reached you, or why it matters to me that it did. I've lived long enough to stop believing in timing, in coincidence, in things arriving exactly when they're supposed to. Men like me, we learn to accept silence as the final answer. I built a life that looks complete from the outside. People see success, stability, control. But they don't see the quiet that waits for me when the door closes, or how loud that quiet actually is. There was a time I gave everything without holding anything back. I thought that's what love was. Not careful, not measured, just all in. And when it ended, it didn't shatter me all at once. It hollowed me out slowly, piece by piece, until even hope felt like something meant for other people. So when I felt something again, something I didn't ask for, didn't expect, I didn't trust it. I still don't. But if this found you, then maybe I was never wrong to feel it. Tell me, have you ever felt something real and still convinced yourself it couldn't be meant for you? I'm more tired than I let anyone see. Not physically, something deeper than that. I'm a man who built a life that works but doesn't feel. Years behind me, more than I ever planned for. And somewhere along the way, I stopped expecting anything to reach me. I almost didn't say this. I don't even know if I have the right to anymore. But I'm saying it to you, because something inside me won't let me stay silent anymore. There was a night I remember too clearly. The kind of night that doesn't ask permission before it settles into your bones. I was standing in my kitchen, lights off, just the faint glow from the street leaking through the window. The air felt cold in a way that didn't belong to the weather. I had my phone in my hand, screen lit, no messages, just my reflection staring back at me like a stranger who knew exactly what I'd become. I told myself I was fine. I had everything a man is supposed to want. Work that filled my days, recognition, a life that looked complete. But that kitchen felt too big, too empty, like it had been waiting for something that never came. I leaned against the counter and just stood there. No music, no distraction, just the sound of my own breathing and a kind of silence that pressed in from all sides. I never said this then, but I will now. That silence wasn't peaceful. It was heavy. It carried every word that was never said, every moment I should stayed, instead of walking away. Every time I convinced myself that love was something I could survive without. I used to think strength meant not needing anyone, that if I could stand alone, if I could keep moving no matter what I lost, then I was doing it right. But no one tells you what that kind of strength costs. No one tells you how it slowly takes the color out of everything, until even your own life starts to feel like something you're just managing. There was someone once, I don't say her name anymore. It feels like opening a door I've spent years trying to keep shut, but I remember the small things. The way she used to leave a cup out for me without asking. The way her presence made a room feel warmer, like I didn't have to brace myself all the time. And I ruined it, not in one moment, not with some dramatic mistake. I just didn't hold it the way I should have. I thought it would stay. I thought people who love you don't leave. I thought I had time to figure things out. I didn't. I remember the sound of the door when she left. It wasn't loud. That's the thing that stayed with me. It was quiet, controlled. Like she had already accepted something I was still pretending wasn't real. I stood there, just a few steps away, and I didn't stop her. I told myself she needed space. I told myself she'd come back. I told myself a lot of things that made it easier not to move. I never said this then, but I will now. I was afraid. afraid that if I reached for her and she still chose to leave, it would confirm something I wasn't ready to face. That I wasn't enough to make someone stay. That everything I thought I was building wasn't something anyone actually wanted to be part of. So I stayed still, and she walked out of my life like it didn't cost her anything. But it did. I can see that now. In the way she held herself together, in the way she didn't look back. There are nights when that moment replays without warning. I'll be doing something simple, pouring a drink, sitting in a chair, staring out at nothing, and suddenly I'm back there. The same air, the same weight in my chest, the same hesitation that feels heavier than any regret I've ever carried. I built everything after that like it would make up for what I lost. Bigger goals, longer hours. More distance between me and anything that could break me like that again. And it worked, at least on the surface. People stopped asking if I was okay. They assumed I was. But there's a kind of loneliness that doesn't look like loneliness. It looks like control, like discipline, like a man who has everything handled. But underneath it, there's nothing reaching back. No one waiting, no one noticing when you go quiet, no one who knows the difference between your silence and your peace. And then, somehow, you showed up. I don't even know when it started. There wasn't a moment I can point to, just a shift, subtle at first, like something in me leaned in before I could stop it. I found myself paying attention again. Noticing things I had trained myself to ignore. Feeling something I had already buried. It didn't make sense. It still doesn't. You felt familiar. Not in a way I could explain. Just something quiet. Like I had known you somewhere I couldn't remember. Like whatever part of me I shut down all those years ago recognized you before I did. And that scared me more than anything, because I know what happens when I start to believe in something like that. I know how it ends when I let myself care without holding anything back. I know what it feels like to stand in a room that used to mean something and realize it's empty because of me. I never said this then, but I will now. I don't trust myself with something real. Not after what I've done. Not after the way I let something good slip through my hands because I thought it would always be there. There's this constant tension inside me now. One part wants to move closer, to see what this is, to understand why you feel different, and the other part, the louder part, keeps pulling me back, reminding me of everything I lost the last time I let myself feel this way. It tells me I'll ruin this too. It tells me I don't get a second chance at something like that. It tells me that whatever this is, it wasn't meant for me. But even with all of that, I'm still here. Still saying this. Still risking the quiet life I built just to avoid ever feeling that kind of loss again. Because something about you doesn't let me go back to who I was before I noticed you. And I don't know what to do with that. There's a version of a future I don't let myself think about too much. It's small, nothing dramatic. Just warmth. A room that doesn't feel empty. A presence that doesn't disappear when I close my eyes. A kind of quiet that doesn't feel like something I have to survive. I don't reach for it. I don't trust it. But it's there. Somewhere just outside the life I've been living. And maybe that's what this is. Not an answer. Not a promise. Just something that almost feels like it could be real. And I'm standing here, not moving, afraid that if I do, I'll lose it before I even understand what it was. So I stay in this space, half in, half out, feeling more than I want to admit, and less than I know I'm capable of. And somehow, That feels worse than the emptiness I got used to. I don't sleep the way I used to. Not because I can't, but because something in me stays awake even when my eyes close. I'm not young anymore. I've lived enough to know when a feeling is trying to reach me and when it's trying to warn me. Most of the time, I ignore both. It's easier that way. I almost didn't say this. It feels like stepping into something I've spent years avoiding. But I'm saying it to you because something inside me won't let me stay silent anymore. There's a certain hour of the night that feels different from the rest. Not midnight, not early morning, somewhere in between when the world forgets itself. That's when it gets loud for me. Not with noise, with memory. I sit in the dark more than I should. There's a chair near the window. It's nothing special, but it's where I end up when everything feels too far away. The city outside moves like it always does. Lights flicker, cars pass, people live lives I'll never know. And I sit there, holding on to something I don't fully understand. I never said this then, but I will now. It's not the past that haunts me the most. It's what I didn't do. I've learned to carry the things that happened, the mistakes, the endings, even the loss. Those become part of you over time. You adjust, you make space for them. But the things you didn't say, the moments you let pass, those don't settle the same way. They stay unfinished. They echo. There was a message I never sent. I remember typing it, stopping, deleting it, starting again, watching the words blur because I couldn't decide which version of me was allowed to speak. The one who cared, or the one who had already convinced himself it didn't matter. I chose silence. I told myself it was dignity. I told myself if she wanted to hear from me, she would reach out first. I told myself that love shouldn't have to be chased. I never said this then, but I will now. It wasn't dignity. It was fear dressed up as control. Because if I didn't send that message, I didn't have to face the possibility that it wouldn't be answered. And somehow that felt safer than knowing. I built a life around that kind of thinking. Careful, measured, always one step removed from anything that could reach too deep. It made me look steady, reliable, like a man who understood himself. But the truth is, I was just avoiding the parts of me that still needed something, that still wanted something, that still believed even when I pretended not to. And then you came into that space. Not loudly, not in a way that forced itself into my life. You didn't try to fix anything. You didn't ask me to open up. You just existed in a way that made it harder for me to stay closed. That's what unsettled me. It wasn't what you did. It was what I felt in your presence. A kind of awareness. Like something in me started paying attention again after years of being asleep. I found myself noticing the way your silence wasn't empty. The way your words didn't try too hard. The way you carried something I recognized without understanding why. And it made me careful, not distant, careful. Because I've learned what happens when I move without thinking, when I let something grow without understanding how to hold it. I've seen what that carelessness costs, and I don't want to do that again. Not to you, not to myself. But there's something else I haven't said. Something I've kept buried even deeper than the regret. I never said this then, but I will now. I don't believe I'm easy to stay with. Not really. On the surface, maybe. I can be calm, present, even kind in the ways that matter. But underneath that, there's distance. There are walls I don't always know how to lower. There are parts of me that shut down without warning, and I've seen what that does to people. I've watched someone slowly feel less important because I didn't know how to show them they mattered in the way they needed. Not because I didn't care, but because I didn't know how to let it be seen. That kind of failure, it doesn't leave you. It sits with you. It changes how you see yourself. So when I feel something now, even something quiet, something careful, there's this voice in me that questions it. Not the feeling itself, me. It asks, what makes you think you can hold this any differently? What makes you think you won't lose it the same way? And I don't have an answer. That's the truth. I don't know if I've changed in the ways that matter. I don't know if I've learned enough from the past to deserve something that feels this rare. All I know is that when I think about you, the life I've been living starts to feel less certain, not worse. Just incomplete, like there's a version of me I haven't been willing to become. And somehow, you're connected to that version. Not because you asked for anything, but because your presence makes it harder for me to stay where I am. There's a moment I keep coming back to. It's small, probably meaningless to anyone else. But to me, it stayed. The way you paused before saying something. Like you were choosing your words carefully, not out of fear, but out of respect for what they might mean. It reminded me of something I used to believe in. That words mattered. That people mattered. That connection wasn't something to protect yourself from, but something to step into. I haven't felt that in a long time, not in a way that made me stop and notice it. And now that I have, I don't know how to go back to not feeling it. That's what unsettles me the most. Not the possibility of losing something, but the possibility that I've already found something, and I don't know how to hold it without breaking it. There's a quiet kind of hope that shows up sometimes. I don't trust it. It feels fragile, like it could disappear the moment I look at it too directly. But it's there, in the way I think about what it would be like to not feel alone in the same room anymore. In the way I imagine a conversation that doesn't end with silence, but with understanding. In the way I catch myself almost believing that maybe, just maybe, something like this doesn't have to end the way everything else did. I don't say that out loud. It feels dangerous, like I'm reaching for something I'm not supposed to have. So I keep it here, in this space between what I feel and what I'm willing to admit, and I stay careful. Even when part of me wants to stop being careful, just once. Because I don't know if I'll survive losing something like this again. But I'm starting to realize I might not survive never trying either. And that thought stays with me longer than I expected it to. I wake up with a weight I don't talk about. It's not dramatic, just constant. Like something settled into me years ago and decided it wasn't leaving. I've lived long enough to recognize that kind of weight. It's the kind you stop fighting because you learn it won't move. I almost didn't say this. It feels like opening a door I've kept closed for too long. But I'm saying it to you because something inside me won't let me stay silent anymore. Mornings are the hardest, not because of what's there, because of what isn't. There's a moment right after I wake up, before the day starts asking anything from me, when everything is still. No noise, no expectation. Just that quiet space where something real can surface before I push it down again. And lately, it's been you. Not in a way that makes sense. Not in a way I can explain. Just a presence. Soft. Uninvited. But not unwelcome. I lie there sometimes, staring at the ceiling, letting that feeling exist for a few seconds longer than I should. And in those seconds, Something shifts, something small, but enough to make me notice. I never said this then, but I will now. I don't feel as empty in those moments. It's subtle, easy to miss, but it's there, and that's what unsettles me. Because I've spent years building a life around not needing that feeling, around convincing myself that whatever warmth used to live inside me was something I could live without. And now it's moving again because of you. That shouldn't be enough. It doesn't make sense that it is, but it is. I go through my day the way I always do. Conversations, responsibilities, decisions that require me to stay grounded, controlled, unaffected. And I do that well. I've trained myself to. But there are moments, small ones, that break through. A pause between tasks, a quiet hallway, a reflection in a glass window that catches me off guard. And suddenly, I'm aware again of what I've been missing, of what I might still want, even if I don't trust it. I never said this then, but I will now. I've been pretending I don't need to be understood, that I don't need someone to see past what I show the world, and stay anyway. It felt safer to believe that. Safer than risking the possibility that someone could see all of it and decide it's too much, because that's the part I don't show, the parts of me that don't make sense, the quiet detachment, the moments I disappear even when I'm right there, the way I struggle to say what I feel, even when I feel it deeply. I've watched what that does to people. I've seen the confusion in their eyes, the way they try to reach me and slowly stop when they realize I'm not meeting them halfway, not because I don't want to, but because something in me hesitates, pulls back, protects itself even when it doesn't need to, and that's the truth I don't like facing. I never said this then, but I will now. I'm afraid I don't know how to love without losing myself or losing the other person in the process. It's one or the other. That's how it's always felt, and I don't know how to change that. But when I think about you, something in that pattern feels less certain, not fixed, not healed, just questioned. Like maybe there's another way I haven't learned yet. A way where I don't have to choose between distance and damage. Where I don't have to hold everything inside just to keep something from breaking. I don't know if that's real. I don't know if I'm capable of it. But the thought exists now, and it didn't before. There was a moment recently, nothing important on the surface, but it stayed with me. I was sitting alone, again like I usually am when the day slows down. The light in the room was fading, that in-between hour where everything looks softer than it actually feels. And I caught myself reaching for my phone, not out of habit, not to check something, but to say something. To you. I didn't. My hand stopped halfway. The same hesitation, the same familiar pull back into silence, and I sat there, holding that moment, feeling it pass just like so many others have. But this one felt different, heavier, like I was watching something slip away before it even had a chance to exist. I never said this then, but I will now. I'm tired of watching moments pass like that. Tired of choosing silence when something inside me is asking for more. Tired of convincing myself that staying still is the safer option, when all it's ever done is leave me here, alone with thoughts I don't know what to do with, feelings I don't fully trust, and a life that looks complete, but doesn't feel lived. There's a version of me, I can almost see him. Not clearly, just enough to know he exists. He doesn't hesitate the same way. He doesn't let fear decide everything. He doesn't lose people because he's too afraid to reach for them. I don't know how to become him, but I know I'm closer to him when I think about you. That's the part I can't ignore. Not anymore. There's still fear. A lot of it. It hasn't gone anywhere. If anything, it's louder now. Because there's something to lose again, something I didn't expect to feel, something I don't fully understand, but something I can't pretend isn't there. And I don't know what happens next. I don't know if I step forward or if I stay where I am. I don't know if this is something real or something I've created because I needed to feel something again. All I know is that when I try to go back to the version of my life where none of this existed, it feels incomplete, like I've already crossed a line I can't uncross, and now I'm here, in between what I've always known and something I don't know how to hold, and for the first time in a long time, I'm not sure which one feels safer anymore.